Cool. So welcome to the Conscious Parents, Conscious Kids intro, or what the hell is Conscious Parents, Conscious Kids? If I can put it like that. Like, what the hell is it? You really want me as a parent to be conscious and you want my kids to be conscious? What does that even mean?
And is this only for parents and children?
Good question. What do you know, Reshma? I know you sat in a couple of the Conscious Parents, Conscious Kids classes. Is
Oh,
it only
yes.
for parents and is it only for those who have kids?
Not at all. The first class that I was going to, I was like, why am I even going for this class? It just seems light, so I'm going to go for it. I'm not a parent, neither do I have children. And I was like, what is this class around? And I told Chanda, I said, listen, I'm just coming because you're here. I don't even know why I'm here. And she's like, you will know. And it's changed my world. It's not really about parenting. It's not, I mean, it is about parenting, but it's not only about parenting. It's not only about parents and children. It's it's so much more. It's so much more. And really, I don't have words to describe this because my first class I did with Anna was 4 months ago, and I'm nothing like I was in December. I'm nothing like it, and I'm not even exaggerating. My life has completely turned 360 degrees. I don't have abuse in my world anymore. No abuse. I am, how do I say this? I am my voice without fighting against or for anything. I'm living my truth. And that is what CPCK is all about. It is so underrated. It is so underrated. I can't start to say. It's just been a great journey. That's all I can say.
Wow, I'm so happy to hear that. Truly, Reshma, because generally when you go for these, for these classes which have the word parent and kids attached to it, people end up thinking it's just another parenting class where we'll be told what to do, because most of the parenting classes is about telling you what to do. It's about telling you how to feed your child, what time to feed your child, how to discipline your kids, how to tell them what to do, how to, it's all about disciplining and instilling the order into your life and into their life and into your parenting. And the beauty of this class actually is that for me too, it's like it brings you into a space of where there are no rules. There are only possibilities. There are no rules. If I can say, this class breaks all the rules. It literally breaks that very ceiling of rules that says, this is the way my family brings up kids and this is the way I'm going to bring up kids. It's like, oh yeah, I'll show you. It's like you blast that box and have literally all these possibilities just coming in and just creating so much, so much.
Channa, before you,
So we have Kanik.
could you
Yeah.
please be the host?
Yes, I will. Thank you for that. Yeah, just a moment. I'll do that. Um, Thank you for hopping on, and it's so wonderful to see Sakshi and Kanika on too, because these two girls have also done the Conscious Parents, Conscious Kids classes.
Yes,
Wow.
hello.
Yes, hello. Sakshi, you've done
I'm so excited.
the two-day
Yes,
CPCK, right?
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely, yes.
Wow.
And I just loved it.
That was the first one that was done in the world, in fact. Yes, that
Oh,
was the
wow.
class. That was the first CPCK two-day class done in the world. And it was like,
Wow.
everyone wanted to know, what was it like?
Yeah.
What was it like? So, we were all chatting and it was like, what was it like? I really don't know. It was just different.
Yeah.
What was it like for you, Sakshi?
Really, no, it's like, it's actually changed my world with I can say, in fact, so it's not just my kids, but like so many other relations. As in, like, me as a child, with my parents, me as a mother, as a parent with my kids, it's really, auntie, it's changed so much that now, with my kids, I don't see them as finite, beings. I see them as infinite beings, and so many things. I would always go into the wrongness of everything with them. And
Sakshi,
just
could you give us an example of that? Like, what kind of wrongness would you go into?
like, whatever, as in even about, if I take my son, he really gets this, asthmatic kind of cough. Like, he's been getting it when he was 2. So I would just, I would start going into the, and just start going into conclusions that, oh, he is asthmatic, nothing is going to work out for him. And now, by this, now he's 9, and I would just get, so I've shared it so many times with auntie that I wouldn't be an allowance of it, like in front of me. If he would just come and start coughing, like just a few hours before, if he's asked me for an ice cream or something and I've given it to him, and then after 3-4 hours he'll come and he'll start coughing, that that bad kind of cough in front of me, I would just start going into conclusions and start telling him that this is what you do, and get so irritated about it, that why is it happening, with my child. That frustration level would be so high that I would keep thinking, why can't I change it? Why is he going through all this? And, just that frustration would be there. But now I don't think like that. I am really in allowance of it. And it's become so much better. Yeah.
Wow, that's so wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. Yes, I remember that time. Yeah. Yeah.
Would really, I don't know, suddenly it just got muted. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And even being a control freak, I feel mostly all the mothers are.
No,
All
only,
the mothers
actually, it's only you.
Yeah.
Nobody else. I'm sorry.
Yes, so God. In that also, I really feel there is a vast difference. And how you just, like I've seen even as a child, now I feel with my parents, with my siblings, I feel I've got out of that energy of all those, the distractor implants of fear, no, I can't say fear here, of guilt, shame, regret, all these things always coming in my mind. If I'm being a good daughter, if I'm really keeping everyone happy, all this is kind of
Just gone.
gone.
Wow.
And I love you for this, auntie. Really.
I love you for choosing that, darling. Truly,
Really.
Sakshi. Because when you share that, it is so beautiful. How much ease can you have with just, being with your parent or being with your kids, and just, having no fear, or having no fear with what your kids are going to do, with how they're going. Are they going to be okay? Are they going to be all right? And constantly trying to protect them. It's like a constant endeavor in trying to protect your kids from making a mistake.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it's almost like you put that little worm of doubt into their heads, that they don't know and they will make a mistake unless mama tells us what to do.
Totally.
So everywhere we've done that with our kids, and everywhere that was done to us by our parents, by our aunts, by our uncles, by our loving grandparents, by our siblings, by the education system, by our so-called loving friends who mothered us, cared for us. So you all please destroy and uncreate it all.
Yes,
Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, pop, call 9 shots, boys and beyond. Yeah. Oh my God. What else is possible? Today is such a wonderful day. I mean, wow. How did we get so lucky to have all you awesome beings who've actually taken this class? Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
And Chandana, I'm at the same place where we had lunch together just the day that you were to leave.
I love that.
Same.
Oh my God. Can
Nice.
you just show it to us for a moment?
Of
Just to
course.
get that
How
beautiful energy of
I'm
Netherlands,
just
where we had this
figuring.
beautiful, fabulous lunch together, sitting in the middle of a farm.
Wow.
Oh my God, look at that.
Wow.
And
Officially, spring
So
has started,
beautiful.
but we are still to
wow,
get that sunshine and radiance here. But the
it's
beauty, however,
beautiful. And we sat here and
yes, exactly where the
they grow their own vegetables, and
yeah.
they make their own wine. And it was such a beautiful afternoon. It was cold, and it was windy, and it was just wonderful. I loved it. Thank
Who's
you for
done
sharing.
literature here and read Daffodils by William Wordsworth?
Yeah. Oh
We
wow.
have lots and lots of daffodils that grow wild in the spring in Holland.
Oh, I
Look at
remember
them.
this. Oh yeah, that's so beautiful. Wow, so lovely.
And on that note, I'm back and wow, how can I contribute today? It's cold, so I've got my hood on.
No, we were just talking about conscious parents, conscious kids class, and Sakshi was telling us about how it changed her life. So tell me, Sakshi, going back to you, sweetheart, did it change? What tool do you use that has real that? I mean, what is your go-to tool from the manual, or did you enjoy the manual?
Oh, I loved it. I
Yeah,
loved it.
I'm so glad.
And the one you've written too is
Oh, I'm so
so
happy.
beautiful. It's
Thank
so
you.
beautiful.
Thank you.
And
I
I
know
think
when
in yeah, yeah. And I think IPOV is like one tool which I really use with my kids.
awesome.
Interesting point of view.
Yes.
And the minute I do that, I really feel after repeating it like a number of times, I'm so much in allowance of everything.
Yeah.
And then suddenly the thing starts, shifting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how when you come into allowance of your kids, you
Yeah.
suddenly start to come in allowance of yourself,
Totally.
right? I mean, there are less
Totally.
of judgments on you as a parent, as a mother. There are less of expectations, and then there's that sudden ease with you, with you parenting,
Yeah.
right?
There
Yeah,
is. There is.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So
And
true.
trust me, my energy with my dog has also changed so much.
Oh yeah. Who
That
said you
now
can only have two-legged babies? We can have four-legged ones too.
she is otherwise such a spoiled one and would never just be disciplined, generally inside. And I would just get so irritated that I don't want to get her inside because she just ruins everything. And now she started becoming such a good girl. She comes and
Oh,
just, whatever I say, she just does it.
wow. 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 Yeah.
That is no miracle, and
Yeah.
has nothing to do with it. Absolutely.
Not at
Yeah.
all. So it's really funny. I would love to share something here that someone said to me after a class, after the CPCK class. She said, I've learned to make the universe my sugar daddy. I've learned to become the universe. I've learned to become the kid to the universe that's now become my sugar daddy. So I'm like, wow. Today someone said
Oh,
that to me, and I'm like, wow.
I would really like to second that. I have
yeah,
Yeah,
Totally.
right?
really.
Totally.
Yeah,
Yes. Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's just it just goes whoosh with your opening, with your receiving, right? It's like,
Correct. Yep.
absolutely.
yeah,
Totally.
It's like
yeah,
if you have the universe on your side, like if you
yeah,
believe that the universe is on your side and it has your back, it can give you whatever you ask for.
yeah. Just
And
just the way kids look up
Absolutely.
to their parents, right? Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
yes.
May I step in here because after
Please,
that I have to pick
sure,
up my
sure,
daughter from the
sure.
school.
Go ahead, Ruchika.
And one thing that I did take away from the manual and that was repeated again at the COP was about abuse, which I thought had no place in my life because I'd had a fantastic childhood and everything. Yet it's not doesn't have to be always from your parents, but every possible grown up and every connection to you, if you upset them and they said you are naughty or you are stupid, is a form of abuse that's so terrible. And It's what if you could just in that moment say, what you've done is stupid, you're absolutely awesome, is really keeping the doors wide open. And there was so much anger. If you remember, Chandana, I had to go away during the lunch break, and I was furious, and luckily it was the sea in front of me, so I was just venting that anger at the sea silently and not really stomping my feet around.
Yes, and
But yes, that has been such a blessing for me that even now I melt in gratitude. And it doesn't matter when it comes in your life, but the moment it came into my life, that abuse doesn't have to be a part of you, and you have a choice of what you create for your child, even in that moment of anger, is so empowering that this class is worth $1 million. Forget the exact amount that Access asks or charges for it. So I'm so grateful to you, Channa, for that.
Oh, you're welcome, sweetheart. And I'm so happy you brought that part up, because that had actually slipped my mind. Yes, now that you talk about it, I remember how much of that energy of abuse came up during our class. And we were like, but this is a conscious parents, conscious kids class. I'm just supposed to give you parenting tools here. And that's when we were laughing that, Access doesn't work like that. We don't function within a box. It's like we go wherever the energies take us. And it was amazing how the energies took us through all the abuse that we have received as kids. And so much of it unconsciously put on us.
Correct.
So much of it, so much of it consciously put on us, where you've had your education system or your teachers or your parents or your uncles and aunts or whoever, your siblings abuse you in the name of love. Yes, it could be gaslighting, but it's also a major abuse that actually stops you from trusting you. So can you imagine putting that today with us, knowing what that could create? It's like every time you step into abusing your child or abusing a child, it doesn't necessarily have to be your child. You stop and you are like, that's the future I am creating for him.
Yes.
Right?
Or destroying in that moment when you say you are stupid.
Yeah. I mean, that's something that you are actually instilling in his reality that he will take with him. Because unless he knows the tools of interesting point of view, he'll probably believe whatever you say as, I believe, your point of view, and actually buy that as his reality, and buy that as something that defines him.
True.
So everywhere we've done all of that, abused ourselves, abused our kids, everywhere. Our parents have abused us in the name of love, that has us buying that as our reality and constantly receiving the abuse, constantly creating the abuse in our reality so we can receive the misidentified and misapplied abuse as love. Will you all please destroy and uncreate that?
Yes, please.
Oh, right, wrong, good, bad, pot, pock, all 9 shots, boys and beyonds. Wow, thank you for sharing that, Ruchika.
My pleasure, my total gratitude once again. And on that note, I'm saying bye-bye. And
we also have Kanika, and I would love Kanika. Are you on, honey? I think she said she's at the doctor's. So yeah, so talking about conscious parents, conscious kids. Any questions at all? I'm generally good at talking, so I can carry on talking even if you don't have questions.
She has raised her hand. Diti, would you like to unmute yourself and talk, please?
Hey, so I mean, you talked about, hi. Okay, so I'm a new parent, basically. But what really got my attention was you talking about the abuse we may do to our siblings.
Yeah.
So I really want to know more about that, because I have a very dysfunctional relationship with my sister for sure. So could you just expand on that?
Sure, darling. When we have siblings, whether even if it's 6 months apart, or can't be 6 months apart, okay, 9 months apart, or if it's 9 years apart, somewhere that hierarchy of age sets in. that has the older parent starting to behave and believe that he is in control of the younger one. And somewhere that works because it makes it easier for the parent to, and somewhere it works because it kind of sets the order of the family, right? This is your older sister, you are the younger one, you should listen to your older one, you should follow how he does it, which is basically getting you out of true choice and telling you what the elder one is doing is correct. And you land up, and how much of responsibility is put on the older one so he can always be the correct and the good and the perfect one, so the younger one can always learn from him. How much of all of that is actually instilling judgment into your children?
Oh my
Instilling
God, that's a
judgment.
lot of judgment.
Yeah, right. And the beauty of this class, Meghna, is that, sorry, Deepti, is that there is so much of energy that shows up, because people are like, oh my God, where is this energy coming from? It's like, yeah, it's just supposed to be a parenting class. Where is this energy coming from? It's about actually changing, unlocking, just sometimes cracking open a part of your reality that was so solid, whether it's with your sibling, whether it's your friend, your parents, or your aunt, uncle, grandparents, or whoever and whatever, the education system or whatever. And when you
Right.
start to unlock that, you start to realize how much of energy was actually stopping you from creating. So you're actually turning that energy inwards. And if I can say here, parenting is about creation. Parenting,
Absolutely.
this class, Conscious Parents, Conscious Kids, is truly about creating a future. And when you look at what you're creating in the future, you're actually using this moment to create a future for your child, or for your sibling, or for whatever, or for somebody else's kid who's probably spent those 5 minutes with you. You can probably destroy him or create something that's magical for him in those 5 minutes. That is the
Okay.
power. That is the potency that we have in creating something greater for our kids. But most of
Okay.
us do it unconsciously. So with siblings also, a lot of that starts to show up, where one is given the control at a really young age, and then suddenly you're like, hey, I don't want to be controlled by this older sibling of mine, or the younger sibling of mine, because sometimes it's like, it's just easier when a parent finds a younger sibling more, if I can use the word, more in control of making choices. So you're like, okay, there's just a year difference, but my younger one is like the older one, and she tells the older one what to do, and that's slowly, gently instilling the control into the younger one too.
Okay.
Right? So
So,
how much of that starts to step into your adulthood, and
uh,
how much of that becomes you resisting it, hating it, fighting it?
okay. So
Right and wrong, good
can I
and
just
bad,
kind
all
of,
the fuck, all nine shots, boys and beyonds. Yes, darling.
okay. So, I mean, like, I get what you're saying. So, but I'm not sure if I get it entirely. But so for the longest time, I refused to have a kid because I was like, I had to parent my younger sister, and I definitely don't want to parent anything more in my life again. It was just
Wow.
that difficult. And then I went and had my daughter, who is a really cool little person, quite frankly. And I was on a conversation with my sister. She just randomly calls up when she's genuinely bored. I mean, otherwise she's completely unavailable, but when she needs something, she calls. And then she said something like, oh, I see so much of myself in your daughter. And that just completely set me off.
All right. Yeah. So everywhere you resisted. Wow.
Yeah. You
Wow.
see what I mean?
So everywhere you resisted and suppressed the resistance and the anger
Hmm.
of you having to parent your sibling, will you destroy and uncreate that, please?
Okay,
Right,
that's a
wrong, good,
tricky one.
bad, hot, pop, all nine shots, boys and beyonds. What's tricky about that, love? What do you find tricky about it?
I'm not sure. It's quite twisted. It's like this little ball of energy, and I'm not quite sure which thread to pull to unravel it.
So what if you don't have to pull any thread? What if you could just be willing to pock and pod it? and know
Okay,
that you
that
will
works.
change. Yeah, that's easy.
Yeah,
That's
that's
easy.
easy.
Great, great,
Uh,
awesome.
can I
Yes,
come in?
Thank you.
please, Reshma. Sure, you're welcome, darling.
So,
Yeah.
Diti, I'd like to share a little here. So, in the class, this came up that I had a lot of judgments about my father and how he's been with me and how I'm not good enough for me, and I'm constantly trying to prove to him how good or bad I am. And because of which, my boyfriend was being abusive or not being supportive. And the moment I acknowledged what my father was being for me and how nurturing and contributive he was being for me, and not only abusive, not only did my relationship with my father change, but also with men in general, with my brother, with my boyfriend, with how many people in the world who are men. Because I have a judgment about my father, everything with respect to men had judgment, and I would not receive men just as they are. So I think conscious parent, conscious kid is not only about a parent, but it's about letting go of the judgments, and like Channa rightly put, that ball of energy where we're constantly solidified and held together and suppressed in our body and reality. It's sort of just opening it up. And it's not only my today, I, in the past 28 years, I haven't felt this greater connection with my father that I feel today with him. It's not that we don't disagree, it's not that we don't argue, it's not that we don't have fights, but the communion he and I have today, I haven't had that for 28 years of my life. And how does it get better than that?
Wow.
How does it? And I receive way more than I receive from when today. Any random men. And when I receive, I don't mean I go have sex with them or sleep with them. Not what I meant.
Really? I was just wondering. I said, "Wow, Reshma has a rollicking sex life."
Oh, that's not what I meant. But what I meant is just receive them for who they be.
With no judgments, right?
With
Or
no
judgments, yeah. I mean, how many of our judgments come from how we judged our parents? And then,
Yeah,
we
it's
judge, and then we judge ourselves that I hope I'm not parenting like my mother, or I hope I'm not parenting like
exactly.
my dad. Or on the other hand,
Be like them.
yeah,
I'm never gonna be like my father or mother.
yeah. Or on the other hand, I can never be as good as my mom or my dad.
Yeah.
So there's either way, there's always a judgment. Yeah, Sakshi?
I'm so glad that now my parents, they ask for all the tools from me. What is it that you're using, please? And they'll take a pen and a paper, they'll start writing things. And
Wow. Wow, how awesome.
what else is
And that must
possible?
be making that must be making it so much easier and so much more fun between your parents and your kids, right? I mean, them
Yeah,
as
totally.
grandparents. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So true. Wow.
Not
Really.
potent at all, Sakshi. You're not.
Yeah.
Not at all. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Wow, that's so wonderful. Yes. In fact,
Amazing.
in fact, I remember this was again, I think, a class that we did in Bombay, Reshma, where somebody mentioned that how it changed. I don't remember which class it was, where someone mentioned it also changed relationships with their in-laws, because bringing up kids was such a space of conflict between in-laws and the daughter-in-law. The mother-in-law wanted her to do it differently, to do it her way, the way she brought her son up, the way she had brought that lady's husband up. And this lady had a totally different point of view about bringing up her parents, because she was functioning from the way she was brought up. Right? So it becomes more of my way is right, is better, is correct, and yours is wrong. So everywhere that we do that in relationships, not just in parenting, guys, but everything else, will you all please destroy and uncreate it all? Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, pock, all 9 shots, boys and beyonds. Yeah, that is something which I was laughing the other day. I said, it may be called a conscious parents, conscious kids class, but it's a complete relationship class.
But mind you, the first class was so different from the second.
Yeah.
It was so different. And I've been in two conscious parent, conscious kids class, and both of them have been very different. Very, very
Yeah.
different.
Yeah, so true. And I think the first one that we did, I've done a couple of many intros, which were like short intros, long intros, and then we did the 1 day class. And then we went into the 2 day class. And the beauty of for me, what I really get is that the 1 day class manual has such fabulous tools and techniques, which we share. And then the second, it's like, because it's a 1 day manual and then it's over 2 days, there's so much more material. Like for me, so much changed with the discussion of discipline. How do we discipline our kids? That section for me was phenomenal. Creation, just about creation, that was so phenomenal. And then when you start to look at all of that, you're like, wow, there's so much. And we limit ourselves, we limit our kids to the do's and do nots. So Sakshi, like when you were talking about the second manual that I gave out, that was a book that I wrote for Access Consciousness, actually, and I had it approved by Access Consciousness, and this I wrote almost 3 years back, and strangely enough, I never had it printed. I was like, it's not ready. And my head was saying, but you've paid for the approval, you've spent almost 4 months on writing it and sending it to approval and done it all. Why don't you print it and give it out there for the kids to read? And my head kept saying, not my head, my awareness. It's like, no, this is not the moment. It's not ready. It's not ready. And when the 2 day class was finally out, and it was so wonderful because we were facilitating the first 2 day class in Mumbai. And that was when it came to me that, wow, this book wants to be out now for all the participants who choose this 2 day class. So yeah, that's just the way I guess the book wanted to be out, as a gift for everybody. And it's so wonderful to know that it's creating so much.
It is really beautiful.
I'm so happy about that. Yeah.
And thank you for letting me know about the Baby Dragon Manifesto, because my kids loved it.
Oh, I'm so glad. That is one of the most beautiful books.
Is.
I mean,
Praveer, he just finished it like so quickly because he just wanted to go on,
Finish
like,
it
and it's really nice. It's beautiful.
So glad, so glad. Yes. That when you hold the book, it's got that energy, right? That book has an energy which kind of speaks to you. Yeah. It's beautiful. Yes, wonderful. All right. So do we have anyone else hopping on with a question or anything else? No? Nothing at all? Okay. So we'll probably end it now, and with just a little information. But I'd love to share one tool here with all of you, actually, just for you all to know that. Just for you to know how much ease you could actually have with parenting. That one tool, besides what Sakshi and Ruchika shared and Reshma shared, and the one tool that I love using is, I asked my
Chandana.
Hi, Kanika.
Hi, can I hop on, please?
Please, sure. I'd love you to. Yeah.
So I did my 1 day conscious CPCK class with you.
Yes.
Remember?
In fact, Kanika, you were in our first 1 day class that happened in the world. The manual was written for you guys.
And the 1 day manual itself was like loaded with tools. Okay, so really the 2 day requirement was not there that time, but because 1 day covered like almost every tool that we could have in our kitty, like in terms of being allowance, and then vulnerability, barriers low, interesting point of view. It basically had everything.
Yes.
So we really didn't miss in terms of more.
Yeah.
So I would like to share my reality with parenting after doing the CPCK class.
Yeah.
My allowance was like really low with my children. I would get irritated on them. I would like kind of scream at them for doing mistakes, because
Yeah.
somewhere that was not working for me. So that's, and then after using the tools like allowance and interesting point of view, suddenly I've seen a major shift with my reality, in the sense my communion with my children, and the way the children are, you know, seeing me as a parent,
Right.
right? And there were a lot of expectation projections being thrown at them in terms of how they should be raised, and how, and I remember these are not even my points of view, because I had bought them like for my mom, from my father, and from the other
Yeah.
co-sisters who I have. So I was really not having ease with parenting. But yeah, after the CPCK class, the tools really made me change the way I'm parenting right now, versus
Wow.
how I was parenting earlier. So there's a lot more
Wow.
allowance, there's a lot more interesting point of view with everything. And it's not that I am not firm with them, I'm definitely firm, but the wrongness element is not there in me.
Yes.
I really don't go into the wrongness of, even if suppose if it requires a little anger, it does require, I don't go into the wrongness of that.
Mm.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
if it requires like nurturing the kindness energy at that moment, I do give it without
Yes.
hesitation. So yeah, things have really shifted a lot.
Wow. I'm so happy to hear that. And Kanika, thank you for sharing that, sweetheart. I mean, what a gift. I wish we could have seen your face too. What a,
I'm like I'm at the
what,
doctor right now.
okay. So what a wonderful gift that is when you let people know about what that class is all about. And
Yeah.
like when you said, yeah, we get so many tools in the 1 day class. The 1 day manual is filled with tools, filled with tools. And then when you
Uh,
go into a 2 day, you are like,
okay,
hi.
Chandana, I would like to
Yeah,
add one more thing. The
yeah,
1 day class manual has the tools which we have been given in the Foundation Manual of Access Consciousness,
yeah,
uh, but in a parenting perspective. So how we
yes,
can use allowance in parenting, how we can use interesting point of view in parenting, how we can use our barriers in parenting. So it all delves into the parenting lifestyle
yeah,
versus the whole gamut of using that tool in various areas of our life, right?
yes,
So specifically with parenting, so that has really changed with what you want to change. Like for example, I chose CPCK because I wanted to change my parenting,
yeah,
right? So using these tools have really shifted in parenting. It could be the relationship, it could be with
yes,
money, it could be with everything. But my
yes.
parenting lifestyle, just by using these tools, have really shifted. Yeah.
Awesome. That
And
is so
I've been asking my
wonderful.
children also to use it. It's
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
especially interesting point of view.
Yeah, because there are such wonderful tools in the manual for
Yeah,
kids,
yeah.
and also in the 2 day, in the, yeah, Sakshi?
That's so true. It's really helped me to empower my kids by giving
Yeah,
them the tools, because now my son just feels that, oh, he can just get anything by just
yeah,
using the tools and asking questions. And now whenever he starts crying, whenever he needs anything or he's asking for something and he's crying, and if my husband says no, not right now, I'm not going to buy this for you, he starts asking questions, and the next day the thing is with him. So then he
wow.
is like, oh, he is so
Awesome.
potent. Yes,
Yeah. Oh,
definitely.
yes, he is. That is so
And
wonderful to know.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Chandana,
Yeah.
being in the question with children have really opened up their knowing,
Yeah.
versus me telling them everything. Now it's like they knowing everything and empowering them with the tools of being in the question. That's all.
Yes. And I
Yeah,
think,
it's so
yeah,
brilliant.
and I think Anika is also, you are showing the kids different possibilities.
Yeah,
When the kids go to school and they go to their friends' homes, they see the way other parents parent. And when they come home, they see what is available for them. And that also creates a sense of gratitude towards you, which initially probably is not as much, because there's a lot of fight that I don't want to do it. And whenever you tell a child to do something, he will always fight you. So it's like that starts to shift, and the child starts to actually recognize you as a conscious parent. And with that, gratitude sets in the trust in you. So, I think the way it moves, the way the class actually creates it, the way the class unfolds stuff for you is so beautiful. It's like everything just starts to unfold itself into a space of total ease, with all the wonderful clearings in the manual, And then when you step into the 2-day class, you also get this manual, which I had written, like I just said, which has some wonderful tools for making studies easy. Like literally, my daughter's in the 10th, she's giving her boards, and she uses those tools. And it just makes stuff so much easier. There's so much about financial awareness, which I don't think we've ever talked about in a class with children. But in the 2 days, we talk about the financial awareness also, which is something which is so phenomenal, because like Sakshi said, when you tell your child that, hey, it's okay if you can't buy it today, you ask for it and you will get it. That is instilling financial awareness, where you're telling your kid that, hey, you're greater than money, you can create it.
Also, it's empowering, right? It's not letting the child be dependent on the parent in any way.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Owning his or her potency. I mean, at a young age. Wow.
So I've
Like-
used this, financial awareness. I've just like kind of given them freedom by saying that if you pick your toys, I'm going to give you like say 5 rupees.
Wonderful.
As simple as that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, rather than the house being in a mess, they really make sure that mama is going to give them 5 rupees. So they make sure that everything is like, in proper place, which is my win-win situation with them.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
What I would like it, obviously.
So true. So true. And there's so much ease when you don't have to fight it, right? Yeah.
Really, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I was just going to give this example that just 2 days back, my son wanted to go and watch the IPL match at the stadium. So he kept crying, and he kept telling my husband, no, I want to watch this match. Please just find out if there are 2 tickets and whatever. I want to go. And you know how your first reaction is generally, no, it doesn't make sense. They're like, all the tickets are whatever, they're so expensive at the last minute, and we don't want to waste money on tickets right now. I'll make you see some other match, maybe, which was about 10-15 days later. And he's like, no, I'm not going to wait for 15 more days. I want to watch tomorrow. I want to watch. And he was really crying. And I really told him, I said, stop crying and just ask questions, and he kept asking questions. Trust me, Auntie, he was really asking, and he was like, okay, main man mein pooch raha hu. And he kept asking questions. And the next day in the afternoon, my husband calls up and he says, don't tell him, but I've got 2 complimentary passes and we are going in the evening. And he was so excited. He was so excited that, at the same time, and we just got passes for free.
Yeah. That's phenomenal. And that's the beauty of it, because these kids are so potent. When they ask questions, they have no point of view.
Yeah.
Right? So how much can they change your reality? Truly.
Absolutely.
Right around good and bad, pot and pork, all 9 shots, boys and beyonds.
Chandra, before this, you were about to share a tool. I mean, you left it halfway. I was wondering.
Yeah. The tool. Which tool was I about to share? I don't even remember, but now whatever tool. Yeah. So the tool that I had really used a lot, like Kanika shared about coming out of judgment, I really used that tool a lot. Because I would always judge myself whether I'm being a good parent or not. Constantly. And it was so easy for my kids to manipulate me and put me into guilt. So easy. Just a little sad face, and I'm like, oh my God, my kid asked for it and I wasn't able to do it. I'm not a good enough mom. And oh my God, my child's going to grow up broken, and she's going to be a mess, and all the stupid points of views I used to get into my head. And that's when I was like, you know what? It's okay. I don't have to judge myself. What if I can simply empower my kids to create what they are asking for? To just create what they're asking for, to have it show up. And that's why I said that it's like having your universe as your sugar daddy. It's literally like coming into a space of where you are now the kid and the universe is your sugar daddy. What can you ask your universe for now? And if you can tell your kids that, then there is no need and there is no greed and there is no lack in the universe, guys. And that is a space of consciousness when you know everything is available, when you know that you don't have to go into cutting somebody off to get what you would like, but simply to know that everything's available. You just have to receive it. What can you be? What energy, space, and consciousness can you be that can have you receive it? Instead of fight for it or cry for it or decide and conclude that you can never have it. So everything that is, will you all destroy and uncreate it all, please? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 9 shots, boys and beyonds. Thank you for being on, and a really huge gratitude to, especially to Sakshi, Kanika, Reshma for sharing what that did for all of you. And Ruchika, who's no longer here. He's gone off, I think. So
A big hug to you.
Oh, thank you, my love. Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you.
Guys, so before we end, I'd like to say we have a couple of intro classes coming up, and we have 2 days coming up in April.
Actually, we have them coming up all over the world.
Yes.
And one is happening in Delhi, which is online. One's happening in Netherlands. One's happening in Paris. So please reach out.
And choose whichever you'd like.
And guys, find any facilitator anywhere in the world. The CPCK class is beautiful, and there's some wonderful, wonderful facilitators around the world. Just choose the class. And if you want to choose one of our classes, we would love to have you on.
Yes. And
I love this facilitator.
Thank you. I love you. I love you.
Love her a little more than you do.
Oh, how did I get so lucky, guys? How did I truly get so lucky? Thank you.
Before we hang up, we have an intro class on the 31st of March. That's the coming Sunday. And what time is it, Chandana?
Let me check. I think it's 6 to 8:30, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
So it's 6 to 8:30. And if you'd like, get in touch with Channa or me, or just reach out to one of us and they'll direct you to us. So, yeah. Thank you so much for this beautiful call. Really,
Thank you, girls. Thank you.
It's acknowledging that's changed a lot. Really.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you once again.
Thank you for this call. Really.
Thank you. Thank you, dear. All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.